won't be long because once again, when I was doing my keynote speech in Ottawa at the Hill, Roderick Hill, Reis walked in, he walked in late, and I was speechless for a moment. And I feel that it's happening again, so we won't be long. Thank you very much for coming. This is a once-in-a-lifetime event, and it's very, very special. Everyone here is very special, very selected group of people, and thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. We'd like to thank also some particular people: Sam Fabian, the Rembrandt String Quartet, the Yuvan Jazz Band that we will hear later, Mel and Eve Reimer of MKR Video from Steinbach. I would also like to thank my niece who wanted to sing for us this evening, but due to technical difficulties, she couldn't. She's been practicing for a month. Also, Mrs. Madaya for making the dresses for the bridesmaids. They look gorgeous tonight. And also, Mamina Arlene Sorrell from BC. I haven't seen her for 25 years, and she's here tonight, so thank you very much for coming. And of course, thank you all. And to my husband, I like saying that. My husband. I was just getting used to calling him fiancé, now he's my husband. I guess I'm not Miss Pascal anymore. Mrs. Paitakan, I like that too. Thank you very much. For Mom and Dad, Paitakan, thank you for welcoming me. You have welcomed me ever since I first stepped into your home. I felt very at ease and at home. Thank you very much. My 3 additional brothers, I talked to Sherwin yesterday and he said, "Is Mom home?" And then he said, oh yeah, that's right, I have a sister now. And that was very nice. I would also like to thank my family. They've always been there for me. Ray and his family, Barry and his family, my sister Mona Lisa and Henry, who gave us the cake tonight, who resembles the Disneyland. And my little sister Nanette, of course, and everyone else. Thank you very much.
I always wanted to be brief, but my brothers have inspired me to go on a little bit this evening. Firstly, I'd like to thank a few other folks. Conrad Almazan has helped us out quite a bit with doing the invitations and everything else to put it together, so thank you very much, Conrad. Larry Vicker lent us a Suburban today to drive around, which might be the only vehicle in the world that you could fit that cake into. And don't worry, Larry, no problem. Our driver was Jim Dow, who's also an RCMP officer. He's got a class 4 driver's license. And Joy has already thanked her family, so I don't think I'll do that because I want to take shots at my family. And as a preemptive strike, since the MC has the last shot, and I'm sure she will take a shot, I will also take a shot at her. Well, let's start with Sherwin and CJ. Sherwin, CJ, and Advin all have not yet gotten married. I was saving this ammo for their wedding. Unfortunately, I have to use it now. Sherwin and CJ are quite a few years younger than me, and we used to have, or we still have a house, where it's a split level between the main family room and the kitchen, and it's a 2-stair split level. So what we would always do is we would sit on the bottom stair and we'd play cars or something. So CJ and Sherwin are busy fighting over a couple of cars, this truck actually. And Sherwin wants this truck from CJ, and CJ says no. And Sherwin goes, "Give me the truck." And CJ goes, "No." And he starts grabbing the truck. And CJ goes, "No," doesn't give him the truck. Dad is sitting at the kitchen table at the time. So Sherwin then goes to Dad for the sage advice. And he goes, "Dad, CJ won't give me the truck." So Dad goes, "Just say please." Sherwin then goes to CJ and says, "Can I have the truck, please?" And CJ goes, "No." At that point in time, Sherwin grabs the truck, starts yanking it out of CJ's arms, yelling, "I said please! I said please!" The second piece that I would like to aim directly at CJ, and I really wanted to save this for the wedding, but I'm really happy to use it now. And Dad doesn't know this one, but he will know it now. One day, CJ CJ had a really bad test result. You can hear the story coming now. My mom and dad were both in Ottawa at the time. So what did they have to do? CJ had to get it signed by one of the parents because it was really bad. So what did CJ do? Mom and dad were in Ottawa. CJ walks up to dad today, pulls out his signature stamp. And then affixes it to the test. Now Sherwin. A couple of years ago, Sherwin was working at Future Shop and decides he wants to make a little bit of a change from this town and move to Ottawa. Dad lives in Ottawa, and he says to Dad before he leaves, Dad, I'll move to Ottawa, I got a transfer. When we move into your apartment, because my dad had a bachelor's pad at that point in time, he goes, I will pay the difference between your bachelor's pad and a one-bedroom, so we can move into a one-bedroom apartment. My dad goes, oh, this is great, this is fine, I can do that. Sherwin then moves to Ottawa. The minute he gets to Ottawa, he goes, oh, Dad, you know, this bachelor pad is fine, I think we can just stay here. Advent. He works for the International Monetary Fund in Washington, D.C. now. Gives him a little bit of an attitude. We were sitting back one time talking about currency crises and all of this, and he has all of these fancy words that I don't understand, but I'm a lawyer, so he doesn't understand it either. And he's an economist, and as the joke goes, there are three people stranded on a desert island, an engineer, a mechanic, and an economist. And they all have a can of food, and they have to open it. They don't have anything to do to open it. They're all starving. The engineer says, well, maybe I'll get a couple of rocks and I'll jimmy something together. So what we can do is create a machine that will open up this can. The mechanic basically does the same thing, saying that what we have to do is just take a couple of pieces from our old wrecked boat and we can make a can opener. The economist, on the other hand, goes, no, you guys, you got it all wrong. First, we have to assume we have a can opener. But the story about the little bit of pompousness in the IMF, we're talking about all these foreign currencies and all these foreign countries. And we ended up talking about Brazil one day. I don't know anything about Brazil except where it is and the people there speak Portuguese. But anyway, we're talking about Brazil. And my brother goes, Reis, they've got it all wrong. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They have to change all of this and change all of that and change all of this. And I said to him, Advent, don't you feel just a little bit bothered about the fact that this is like a sovereign country and maybe they should do some of their own things and make up their own decisions? And Advent just turns to me and goes, Reis, whatever, they just have it all wrong. So that's his position on the world economy. Now, my parents. Now, they took a couple of shots at me, so I think I'm going to go back home for that. First thing, my dad, there's a lot of good stories about this. I was saving this actually for his roast when he retires. I don't know when that's going to be. I unfortunately have to use this stuff this time. But first let me break and say this is a wonderful time that I can be at a function at the Lombard where I don't have to pay my dad $100 to be there. My dad is one of 11 brothers and sisters. And they keep calling themselves a close family. Well, one time I was sitting in the basement with my dad and he was speaking with my Uncle Frank. And I was saying, and I just asked him, can you just tell me the order that everyone is born in? It took them 10 minutes to figure out the order that all the brothers and sisters were born in. And then there was another time my dad went up to me and Sherwin was paying me back for the loan that I gave him, which it took 3 years to pay back. But, and he had $100 or $200. My dad gave me $100 and said, Reis, I still need the $700. And I said, Dad, you know what? When I go to one of your dinners, at least I get $75 back in tax time. And then there's the time my dad went to buy a beer once. You see, my dad isn't much of a drinker, hey? And we were in a function at a dinner with a friend of ours, Emil Benavise, out in Ottawa. And he had invited our family over to dinner. So my dad decides he's going to order a beer. And then, what do you want to drink, sir? My dad goes, a beer. And then my three brothers and I look at each other and go, oh my God, Dad's going to order alcohol. The waitress then goes, what kind of a beer, sir? And he goes, a beer. Meanwhile, my three brothers and I are sitting there going, can I just say Molson, say Labatt, say something? The waitress asks the third time, no, what kind of beer, sir? And my dad responds slightly more intelligently, a light beer. It was at this juncture, Emil Benavise, our good attorney friend over in Ottawa, jumped in and actually ordered a beer for him because it was getting quite excruciating to find out how to order a beer. My mom. First of all, let me just say that I love you, Mom. Story that I get told back in the 1960s when my parents first got together. My dad has a tendency sometimes to be a little late. I don't know how many of you know my dad, but he might be a little late sometimes. There was one time when they were first married that my dad is supposed to meet my mom to pick her up at a certain appointed hour. The appointed hour comes and my mom is standing there and my dad isn't there. The second appointed hour comes and my dad is still not there. It is 2 hours later and my dad is still not there. My mom has finally decided that she's ticked off enough that she's going to take the bus. So the bus comes up, and just as the bus comes up, my dad pulls up in the car, smiling to pick my mom up. My mom looks at my dad, and then promptly gets on the bus. And drove the bus in circles for 2 hours. The last shot I have is for my cousin, the MC, Jocelyn. As she mentioned, she babysat all 4 of us. As a matter of fact, she babysat a lot of my cousins. And I didn't find out until later from my cousin Rose, who unfortunately can't be here tonight, that she told all of us we were walking kids. But she wasn't the greatest babysitter in the world. My mom will know and my auntie Alice will be able to tell you this story, I'm sure, and I'm sure my cousin Adam, will be able to tell you this as well. My cousin Michael, who's a couple years younger than me, she was once babysitting. And, grab a seat, man. And she was once babysitting Michael. And Mama Lillian had a rule that, didn't want the kids to run out and play outside at certain times because, the kids could get hurt, right? And that's a fair thing for a parent to be concerned about their young children. My cousin decides, it's a nice day, I'll let them go out and play. They go out and play. What happens that day of the only day? Michael gets bitten by a dog. So they come into the house, and this was early in the morning. Anyway, later on in the evening, my cousin forgets totally about this, except for my good cousin Patrick, who goes and says to him, gleefully to his parents when his parents come in the house, Michael got bitten by a dog! Michael got bitten by a dog! So then they call Jocelyn and confront her with this, at which point in time she indicates that, I kind of let them outside and they got bitten by a dog. So that is one symbol of her skill in babysitting. The more direct symbol that the 4 of us had one day was she was babysitting us. She started cooking. We were all running around outside. She didn't realize she was continuing cooking, and she set my parents' kitchen on fire. The fire was so bad that the overhead fan that many of you have in the kitchen was totally melted, plastic dripping from the ceiling onto the stove. My parents, in their good humor, came in and simply said, as long as no one was hurt, that's okay. Anyway, that wasn't the speech I was planning, but I really had no choice, as you saw tonight. I want to thank you all for coming. It's been an incredible evening, an incredible day for both Joy and myself. And it is so wonderful to see so many familiar faces, so many friends, family, colleagues from everywhere and anywhere, from far and wide who have come here. I am very proud and honored to be married to this woman, Joy, who is truly the joy of my life. And that's why they played Ode to Joy in the string quartet. Also, they didn't have an Ode to Reis, actually. And I am so very happy to be part of this family. All of your brothers and your sisters, Nana and Tatai. This has truly been a special day for both of us and for me. And thank you so very much for being here today. And I hope you have a wonderful evening for the rest of the evening, and a good evening to you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joy and Reis, buddy. Actually, I beg to differ. It was a little scratch. It was barely a bite. That's why we don't know about it. And Michael turned out to be a wonderful young man as well. He is not here tonight. His wife has brothers getting married. And as for the kitchen, they were insured.